Hello, Spring Harbor students. Hope everything's going okay this week for you. This is the start of week 5 in our ORG601 class, and just wanted to bring a few things to your attention as an overview for week 5, and then touch a little bit on week 6, which is coming up as well. So a little bit about week 5. I looked at a couple things related to the lab questions, lab work responses coming up, the essay that's due for week 5. One of the questions asks this. It says, define downsizing and the tactics used in successful downsizing interventions. I want to talk to you just a minute about downsizing. And that's on page 359 in your book if you haven't found it yet or you haven't read that part of it yet. So here's the thing about downsizing. It's well, there's no other way to say it. It's ugly sometimes, okay? I've been involved in downsizing, at least my part of the organization, and I had to select names and that sort of thing of people to ask to leave the company. But I've also been downsized as well, so I've been caught up in that the other side. So a couple of notes. This is not in your book necessarily, but just some practical things when it comes to downsizing. First of all, remember you're dealing with people's lives. This is tough, and if you don't downsize, you may not have a company left. Okay, so sometimes when you get to this point, it just has to be done, and it's not easy. Okay, so it's painful. That's the thing I want to let you know. The other thing is this. Now, this is going to sound a little bit, I don't want to say cruel, but you know what? If you have to downsize, you usually start with the people who are not the best performers, and you keep the ones who are the good performers. And you put them on the list first, the people who are not the good performers. It's a good time to get rid of some of the dead weight in your organization. Having said that, though, I want to be careful because many of you have probably been downsized before, like myself. And we're not bad workers because we were let go. Sometimes the downsizing is so deep and so dramatic that it scoops up a lot of good workers into the net as well. And so, but I'm just telling you from a leadership standpoint, if you have an opportunity, if you're stuck in a position where you do have to downsize, keep your good workers, okay? Let some of those other poor performers go. That's the time to do it. Again, though, if you've been caught up in that, I'm not suggesting that you were one of those. I know I wasn't, but still I was downsized. The other thing is when you actually implement the downsizing, if you can do it on one day, get it done and get it over with. It'll be a painful, painful day. But at least it's done and over with inside of one shift or two shifts, or inside of a 24-hour period. It's never easy to do, and as a leader, as a manager, sometimes you have to get into that. You have to let people go, and it's not easy. Be kind and considerate. They're human beings, and they have real problems. And but the sooner you can get it done and over with, and not extend out wave after wave after wave, the better off you'll be. The other thing, there's survivor's guilt. The people who are left will feel like they have survived something. They'll have extra work put on them and that sort of thing. There's a little bit about that in your book on page 361. So just be mindful of that, some pointers there. A little bit on TQM. That's on page 385 in your book. And I remember, many of the companies I was part of in the automotive world had total quality management system groups, teams. The only caution I would give you is this: make sure that there are boundaries put on these TQM teams. Otherwise, they can get really out of control. They can cost reduce things that you don't want cost reduced. They can create ideas that you don't want, that you won't be able to implement. So you may have to put some boundaries on. You don't want to stifle the brainstorming opportunities, but you definitely want to put some boundaries on some of the TQM ideas. All right, a little bit about the project work for next week, week 5. It says create an outline. The 5th bullet point for project week 5 says create an outline for your week 6 PowerPoint presentation. Now here's the thing, week 6 you're going to be submitting a presentation, PowerPoint presentation. And it's and the instructions say, take what you've learned in this course and apply it to your host organization. Think about the theories that you've learned. How would you apply them to your host organization? This should be something you're thinking about already as you get ready to go into those next set of MBA courses, where you're going to have to do a proposal on a problem in your host organization. You have to defend that proposal, then go out and do it. So the PowerPoint is a way to get you to start thinking about that. Now, what to do at the end of week 5 is just the outline, okay? So if you go into PowerPoint, there's an outline feature. You can use that feature, or you can submit it as a Microsoft Word document to me, just with a standard outline. So it's the outline that's due next week, not the PowerPoint. And then I'll say something else next week about that PowerPoint when we get to that. So, and then also at the end of week 6 coming up, you have to submit your host organizational approval form. So be thinking about that. Get that form and get it filled out. It's due at the end of week 6, which is coming up here. So, all right. Hope everything goes well for you this week. And if you need to speak with me, send me an email or whatnot. I'm still available on Tuesday evenings for a little bit of time if you need to do that. Thank you. Have a great week.